Alright, hello. We're going to be going over the SKT KT games. This is the morning, or the day after that these games occurred. I was not up last night watching them, but I'm excited to watch them now, and I know that it's a 5-game series, so we have a lot to go over. So let's dive right in. We see the Cassiopeia ban. Cassiopeia is really strong because of that neutral objective control, that high DPS. Then we see the Elise ban, good for early dives, good for early pressure. Really strong. KT respond with Lucian. This is aimed at Faker, and for more information on that, you can go ahead and watch my overview of the SKT versus Samsung Galaxy games that happened a couple days ago. And those would tell you a lot about Faker's Lucian that he used in 2 games. The Galio ban comes out from SKT. That's pretty standard. Galio mid, good map control. Good objective control. His ultimate's just too strong. Then you see the Gragas ban, and the Gragas ban, in my head, Gragas is the answer to Zac, because I think KT knows that SKT don't want to ban Zac, because if you looked at the games versus Samsung Galaxy or Africa, SKT have been banning supports a lot. More particularly the Rakan, the Morgana, but they've been having a lot of priority on bans that you wouldn't normally expect. So they're trying to tell SKT to ban the Zac. At least that's what I think, because I see that Gragas is the easiest jungle counter to Zac. Because I wouldn't want to play Lee Sin, I wouldn't want to play Elise, I wouldn't want to play Rek'Sai, but I definitely see Gragas. Anyway, SKT choose not to ban Rakan, so you see the Zac come out. That's just standard. If Zac is open and you're on blue side, you pick it. It's still really strong. Remember, this is patch 7.15. I don't know if this is before or after there was nerf to his stretching strikes, where they went from 4% to 8% of his maximum health. I'm not really sure. God damn it, there's not a good color ever. Anyway, SKT go ahead and pick up Alistar Maokai, so they have a huge front line. They're looking for early dives in the bottom lane with the Alistar. KT go ahead and looks like they're going to respond with Kalista. Kalista's a really strong ADC, good objective control because she's able, well, good neutral objective control when she's able to start the objective so that she's able to use Ren to secure it. And they go ahead and pick up Thresh. And this is going to be a really strong lane for KT. Very strong lane. SKT pick up the Tristana. We all know that I love Tristana just because you can end the laning phase extremely quickly, and you're able to put a lot of pressure on other sides of the map, and Tristana is so good outside of laning phase. Good for getting a lead and then running all over your enemy with the resets. SKT go ahead and they ban the Trundle, and this is really odd to me because SKT seem to be like the only team that are really prioritizing the Trundle, but I do really like the Trundle. He's a really strong split pusher. He's really good in lane against Cho'Gath. He's really good in a 4-1 comp. He's a great tank and an anti-tank, since he's able to soak up armor and magic resist from actual tanks. And he has great sustain. Just everything's good at him. KT say, okay, I see your Trundle ban, and I'll match you with the Cho'Gath ban. That seems all fine and standard. Then we see the Jarvan ban, and this is obviously aimed at Jarvan top lane, so we don't know what SKT is going to be looking at for their Jarvan, or looking at if they're banning Jarvan top lane out, then I'm not really sure what they're looking for. But you know that Kled is open, Gnar, and Fiora. Not many people are using Fiora anymore, but she definitely still is viable. Um, Orianna goes ahead and gets banned. We all know that I love Orianna. She's an S tier mid laner in my book. She's honestly she's the best mid laner in my book. Okay, so SKT go ahead and looks like they're gonna lock in the Gnar, and they're gonna leave in the last pick for Faker. So they're gonna wanna have a counter pick in the mid lane. So they're gonna be looking to win the mid lane. Deft goes ahead and responds with picking the Shen. So Shen's great utility. He's not going to be winning lane because remember they did pick this into Gnar, so they do understand that they're going to be losing top lane. It's not going to be by a lot. It may be by like 10 CS at 10 minutes, maybe 15, but it'll be a small number. But that small number can cause a lot of problems. I mean, just 3 CS can cause a lot of problems in the difference just because that's a pink ward. You can buy a pink ward with 3 melee minions, and that can completely change the game. So we see the LeBlanc is picked up by Pawn, and the Cassidy is picked up by Faker. So let's talk about lane by lane matchups. So Narwin's top lane. That I shouldn't have to explain very much about. Gnar is ranged, has decent damage, has maximum health damage, and is he's able to control that lane. As for the mid lane, LeBlanc wins early, but Cassidy outscales very quickly. Outscales quickly. So we know that in the early game, Pawn's gonna win, but Faker is able to continue to win that. So you're probably gonna see a 10 CS lead in favor of Pawn at 10 minutes, and that's just because Faker is probably going to lose a lot of CS in the early stages, especially around level 2, 3, and 4. But not around level 5 and 6. That's when he's going to start getting hardy. And we all remember that Cassidy's passive gives him 15% reduced magic damage. So we know that he isn't going to be completely in terror from that. And then as for bot lane, bot lane's really tricky. So for me, I see that Thresh, Callisto win level 1. But I see that Wolfbang win level 2. And I think they win level 3 as well. And then it starts to get a little fuzzy around level 3 or around level 4, 5. And then level 6, it really depends on who can burst who faster. So it may depend if there's any build differences before that, but it's also going to be a little bit of a skill matchup. You see, KT would normally have the advantage always, and they have the maximum potential advantage. I'll explain what that means in a second. It means, I'll explain it now. Maximum potential advantage, and what I mean by this is in an ideal situation. So ideality. There is no contest. Because let's talk about things that. Okay, so KT has to rely on a skill shot, and SKT does not. Which is why I say SKT generally has the advantage in this lane, except for at level 1, because there are no skill shots to land. Whereas the skill shot that Mata has to land is the Thresh Q. And if that doesn't land, then these two lose a lot of power, and Bang isn't able to lose DPS from being stunned, because that Thresh Q has to be aimed at Bang. But in the maximum potential advantage situation, we know that if Thresh hits Q on Bang, these two will beat these two, at least in the level 3, 4, 5, maybe even level 6. But level 6 is a little bit more blurry, as there are a lot of things going on in that lane in level 6. Because a constant 2v2 is a lot harder to judge than a constant 1v1. So I've talked about the lane matchups, and we see that top is going to SKT. We see that mid is going to SKT, at least after Faker hits level 6 or so. And we see bot is even. So Cyrus, who won the draft? Oh no, I ain't saying that yet, because I've completely ignored a big problem. There are two junglers. So KT has Zac, and what does the power that Zac has is that Zac can force the fact that KT has this winning lane in the mid lane, and he can gank top too, but it's not useful to gank Shen, to get Shen fed, because Shen is going to do his job with or without gold. It's not really that important whether or not he has gold. But Zac can go ahead and camp this mid lane, and if Zac camps mid lane, Faker can go all the way up to, I'd say, minus 20 CS at 10 minutes, maybe even more. And because Zac can camp this mid lane and get the LeBlanc ahead, and we know that LeBlanc requires to get ahead and snowball, we see that is the win condition for KT, and that's how they're going to end up winning the game with this jungler. We also know that because they have Shen, LeBlanc, and Zac, we know that it's very possible that there's a 5-man bot at when LB/Shen has level 6. And you would see this by LB pushing in lane. LB push, LB roam, Zac lane gank, and this will end up being a tower dive if SKT is playing, generally safely. And you'll see the Shen ult come out. And why I say Zac needs to lane gank is because if Zac travels through the jungle and hits a ward, then Bang and Wolf will back off of their tower and neither of them will die. But if LeBlanc roams over in a path like through the enemy jungle where she isn't going to get spotted because she has that mobility that others don't have, Zac can just walk through the lane and it's going to be a dive anyway. Since I do not expect SKT to not have the vision in order to prevent these events from happening. If Zac were to travel through the jungle and move through, say, Tribush or the river. So that's the KT win condition. But let's go ahead and talk about the SKT win condition. SKT wins top lane, they win mid lane. And Peanut is really going to be looking to just counter gank. Because Peanut is on Maokai, and Maokai is a really reactive summoner, and he's really trying to scale up. And you see a lot of picks here that are just trying to scale. So SKT is really looking to hit 15-minute mark without being at a large gold disadvantage. So, and if they're able to do that, then they're able to have Faker pop off on the Kassadin. They're able to have these harsh team fights that are going to be dictated by Antara and Peanut and Wolf. And then they have this backline Tristana, and if they're able to get the Tristana any gold at all, the Tristana can get ahead. So Peanut will actually he'll be looking to counter gank, as I said, but he may look for aggressive ganks bot. And if they're able to get this Tristana fed, if they're able to get the first blood tower in bot, which is generally what you draft Tristana for, that first blood tower. Then they're able to go ahead and get that comfortable early game and transition into this team fight comp that they've built, which also heavily relies on rotations. So what happens in the mid game? How does the mid game work? Because it isn't just 5v5 team fights all the time. Well, both teams have something very interesting. They're both running double teleport, so they're both end up actually going to be running a 1-3-1. And it's going to be really interesting because the 1-3-1 is only going to be working successfully for the team that has that is going to be able to win 2 of these lanes in the mid game, and they can lose 1. And if one of these teams ends up winning all 3 of these lanes at 20 minutes, or if one of these teams gets Baron, it will likely lead to the end of the other team. So that's how we're gonna see this game. So let's go ahead and jump right in, because I have 5 games to go over, 5 exciting KT SKT games. So we want to go ahead and get through this quickly. Just a note, LeBlanc started Longsword. So I think LeBlanc starts Longsword because Kassadin is melee, she's able to abuse auto attacks a lot on Kassadin. And to get all those auto attacks off, she's able to get more damage. This also helps her last hit CS. So it's a lot of things, but if you would have seen something else come out from LeBlanc, I mean, Corrupting Potion was definitely a good idea. Then there's also the Dark Seal that Kassadin is currently running, which is really good because it gives you the extra healing from potions. But there's so many different pathways you could have gone. We also see Thresh with Targons, not Ancient Coin, but that's fine. Peanut has to smite away his blue because Deft and Mata were looking for an early invade. Bang and Wolf have to take the long way around. We also see that Zac goes ahead and starts blue, which is not something we normally see. And in this case, Zac is going from blue to wolves. He's probably going to go to red, then go to... He may go to wraiths after red, or he may go to mid lane. It's one of those 2 options. Maokai has gone from blue to wolves to wraiths, and then he's going to go for his red buff. And then he can probably counter gank this mid lane or counter gank the top lane. But he doesn't know where Zac is, which is why I'm saying counter gank the top lane. But Zac is nowhere near top, and Zac isn't going to be ganking top. But remember, SKT has no vision on where Zac was or will be. Anyway, so both respective junglers are getting their red buffs. LeBlanc missed a few minions on the first wave, so Pawn obviously was not playing correctly. Because this CS lead should have started already. It should have started while LeBlanc was level 1. Def takes out the blast plant, and this is something that I've been telling people to do, and I talk about in my videos, where when you take out the blast plant, it takes it away from the enemy jungler. So the top laner should take out the enemy blast plant, and the blue side bottom lane should take out the enemy blast plant, just so that you can't get ganked unexpectedly. Pawn makes an early back and teleports back to lane, goes ahead and gets Corrupting Potion and a pink ward. Mata lands a hook onto Wolf. This bottom lane is not going so great for Bang and Wolf. And hold on. What the actual fuck? I'm sorry for that, but Bang has barrier and Wolf has heal. I just want everybody in this video who's watching this video to understand this kind of theory crafting. So this kind of theory crafting is very interesting because you can't run double heal due to the fact that the heal is diminished. But if you run heal and support and barrier and ADC, the ADC is able to survive burst damage. Burst damage probably coming from Pawn or Death's Rend. And the support is able to give them movement speed. Give them movement speed and healing. So this is a really interesting, like, save the Tristana thing, and that's probably why they're not fighting early, because they don't want to fight early while these spells are still weak, and while Mata has Ignite, and they definitely are going to have dueling pressure. But it's going to be interesting because I still think that in the early stages of laning around level 3 that Bang and Wolf can win a fight, assuming that Wolf WQs, and that's his standard Alistar combo, Deft, and Bang all-ins, and Mata has to miss hook for SKT to win. He has to miss hook on Trist. That is a requirement for them to win that lane. And maybe Mata is actually causing a lot of pressure, which is making Bang and Wolf scared, which causes the CS discrepancy that you're already seeing. But it's very interesting. You also see the CS discrepancy starting in top lane. And mid lane's kind of even, but I blame Pawn for playing badly on that one. Because I can't accept the fact that Pawn actually missed like 3 minions in the first wave. Which does not make sense to me. When you're ranged, you need to put harass on Kassadin and not miss minions. You need to do both of those things. You need to multitask. So Kassadin's probably going to be going for this Rod of Ages, but check out what he backs. He actually backs this this Blasting Wand for the early damage. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so let's check out how Peanut got into that situation. So Peanut moves into the enemy jungle, is gonna try and get some vision. He throws a sapling. He actually manages to Q the Zac E. So this is similar to the Gragas. When Gragas E takes priority over Zac E. And Maokai Q, when timed correctly, will take priority over the Zac E as well. So this is a good response to the Zac. But Peanut definitely was underestimating how many resources KT was prepared to bring towards him. So you saw Pawn flash, then you saw Mata flash, and so Peanut goes ahead and he Ws to Pawn and flashes away himself. And I'd say very well played, Peanut, because now that is a positive trade in terms of SKT. Because Pawn and Mata both burn Flash, and Peanut still has Flash. So now Pawn doesn't have Flash against Faker, so Faker's actually going to start having a lot of pressure in this lane when he hits level 6. And now that Mata doesn't have Flash, Wolf and Bang are going to have pressure in this bottom lane. So that was an aggressive play by KT, but not fully thought out. Because if it was going to... it had to be a successful play in order to provide them with what they need, and the risk factor was putting 2 lanes at a disadvantage, and that was the risk. and they ended up succumbing to that risk due to misunderstanding Peanut's ability to get away. Antara very comfortably farming in the top lane. Pawn's going to try and freeze the lane on his side of the lane because he doesn't want Kassadin being able to do whatever he wants. Kassadin's going to miss some more CS because of that. And you're going to start to see this CS lead that LeBlanc just has over Kassadin in the early game until Kassadin has about like one item. So Faker goes ahead and he gets a mana crystal, he gets boots. I'm not sure when he's gonna get catalyst, but that blasting wand is a very aggressive choice by him, and it's very interesting to me. We did see the Dark Seal come out for Pawn on top of his double longsword. That's going to be going towards Hextech Gunblade. That's completely standard. Antara getting a good engage onto Smeb, but not going to do anything with it. Just trying to get a lot of damage and pressure Smeb, maybe force Smeb out of lane. Because it would be nice if Antara was able to push in the lane here and get Smeb to want to back and then get a free back, and then Smeb might have to teleport back to tower. But Smeb would probably sit there and soak up the CS. He has to really torture Smeb and get him really low so that Smeb feels unsafe under his own tower. And that's what we see there. Hold on, I want to see which... Faker not even phased. Not even phased by the LeBlanc copy. He's like, fuck that. Not today, Pawn. So you see Smeb actually really wanting to back. He's about half health. And Antara is going to go ahead and push in that lane and probably back himself. And Antara really does not have to waste teleport here. So KT go ahead and say, all right, we have control in the bottom lane. We have control in mid lane. So we're going to go ahead and get control around the dragon. And they take a very quick dragon and they go for an engage. But it's not going to be what they want. Def's low mana. Def's going to get punted out by Wolf. The Shen ult's going to come in. You see the Maokai ult coming out. Peanut engages onto Pawn. Lots of damage onto Pawn. Follow up by Faker. And it's going to be full disengage from KT. So let's look at who has the advantage right now. Smeb's missing experience in CS in top lane because his top lane is pushing, and you can see that because there's like a million blue minions, and there's just one wave of red minions. So he's going to be missing some of that, and Antara can actually freeze hit on his side of the lane and zone Shen off the CS. And that may be what Antara is going to do. That would be what I recommend. But Antara still has flash, and Smeb still has flash. Peanut's going to have flash soon, and Score still has flash. Faker still has flash. Actually, SKT burned no sums other than teleport, so no like combat sums during that exchange. Actually, wait, were no sums at all burned other than that teleport? Hold on, let's look at this again. Okay, Flay onto Wolf. Wolf punts Deft out. Shen ult goes onto Mata. The Maokai ult comes out. Maokai engages onto Pawn. Pawn takes the Thresh Lantern, and it's just full disengage. There were no summoner spells used by either team there. Very, very interesting. See, it would have been smart for SKT to force harder while Mata still didn't have flash and Pawn still doesn't have flash. Since they have the flash advantage, if they have the summoner spell advantage, then they can probably force a fight and continue to force it. but maybe SKT, as we saw in the Samsung games and the Africa games, SKT has been playing less aggressive than they have in the past. So this is really interesting, and they've been doing this for the entire playoff set. Yeah, they've been doing it all playoffs. And I mean, I haven't been watching all of LCK this split, so maybe they've been playing like that all split. But it makes more sense to me that they would have gone more aggressive there. And in a lot of situations in the games that I've gotten to go over, that they could have played a lot more aggressive. Anyway, it's about 10 minutes, so it's about time to talk about the CS leads. So we see, is that exactly a 10 CS lead? No. Okay, so in the mid lane, 10 minutes, 11 CS to pawn. So that I'm pretty good on these predictions. I never made a prediction about the CS in bottom lane, but okay, so this is a little bit skewed because Def just took a wave. So it's about 10 minions in favor of Deft as well, but not all 17 of those because there's a wave that he's sitting on that Tristana hasn't gotten to touch yet, and that is the 10-minute wave. So and then you see that in the top lane, Gnar has a little bit more than 10, so I'm going to write 10 plus in the favor of Gnar. So everything seems to be a little bit standard at this point. The only thing that isn't standard is Zach was unable to pressure mid like he should have. And they were also unable to look for an opportunity. Sorry that I write everything out, but I think it's important. In the bottom lane with Shen ult, and they wasted that opportunity with a bad fight taken in the river. Because that Shen ult plus Zac should be able to dive 3 or 4 or 5v2, 5v3 even. Because they have LeBlanc, so what the idea is they can burst. They can burst carries during a teleport cast. Because TP takes 4 seconds to cast. It's a 4-second channel to teleport. So it's you can't save everybody. You can't save everybody with a TP. Because a lot of the times people are going to get bursted, especially when there's a LeBlanc in the game. So one thing to ask is kind of like, what's going on now? Like, what are we waiting for? Why is this game not exciting? Well, now that all the early game strats are gone, you have to wait for key item power spikes. And you have to play around those. So just for example, you see that Tristana has a lot of damage here, but what she's going to build next is Zeal or Tier 2 boots. And she's going to build one or the other, and then she's going to finish Or, well, if she builds Zeal, she's going to build tier 1 boots, and then she's going to get Infinity Edge. Or she's going to build tier 2 boots, and then she's going to finish Infinity Edge, and then she's going to get Zeal. There's two valid pathways. I personally recommend the Zeal boots and then finishing Infinity Edge into tier 2 boots into your Zeal item. But I don't know if that's what Bang prioritizes, because as we saw in the Samsung games, I remember Samsung used Tristana and rushed Infinity Edge without a Zeal. Anyway, as for Callista would be waiting for bot RK. You're pretty far away from that because Callista usually prioritizes those tier 2 boots, and we see that. LeBlanc is waiting on Hextech Gunblade. Shen is at a power spike right now. He's got Ninja Tabi Tiamat. And a power spike for Gnar is Black Cleaver. So that's going to be really good for him. And we also noticed that... Rod of Ages, Roa. And that's actually not a power spike, but it is a power spike 10 minutes later. I know that sounds really silly, but that is the case. He slowly gets stronger over 10 minutes. And usually it takes about 10 minutes to finish your second item. So it actually, Rod of Ages gives you a delayed extra power spike in which you finish 2 really big items that are really strong at about the same time. So you get this huge power spike. And that's why Rod of Ages is really strong, but kind of a lot of people undervalue it. We do see that Thresh actually went mobility boots, but in exchange for this, Alistar didn't buy boots but bought Sightstone. And with that Sightstone, they're able to play defensively, and they don't have to worry about being invaded and dived and stuff because they can get enough vision with it that they don't need to be afraid. Antara going ahead and looking in the enemy jungle, taking out the Blast Plant. Smeb going ahead and taking out Gromp. We see that Black Cleaver was just finished by Gnar. So Gnar might be looking to duel in the top lane. We also see that Rod of Ages is finished. So that's going to be really good. LeBlanc just finished Hextech Revolver, but she doesn't have boots yet. So LeBlanc is a little bit slow right now, as her movement speed isn't very high. And we know that Callista is actually sitting on quite a bit of gold, because we know that Callista is more fed than Tristana right now, but Tristana has about... Actually, no. Yes. No. She's sitting on a little bit of gold. Because, okay, cross out the... here's how to look at it. Cross out the Dorans. And cross out these pots. And you see this is about 2175. And then these 3 items, the longsword, the vampiric scepter, and the boots is 1100, 2000, 2300. But there's a 20 CS lead. And we know that they've already got these items a while ago. So we know that Callista is probably close to finishing Bilgewater, and maybe even close to getting 2 daggers right now. At least I believe that is about where she is. And Tristana just backed and spent 1100 gold. Ooh, that was really close hook. But Faker goes ahead and gets blue buff. So Gnar has been pushing in this lane the whole time, and we see Tristana actually roaming up to the top lane, and they're going to go ahead and get first Blood Tower for free. So this is a great rotation by SKT. to force First Blood Tower. And they're going to transition right into Rift Herald. But looks like Wolf's going to engage on a Smeb. Bang goes ahead and he jumps over the wall. Just going to try and scare him out. They're going to want to take down this Rift Herald. But this is kind of scary because I believe that I don't think that SKT necessarily wins 5v5 right now. Ooh. SKT engaging on Amada, getting a lot of damage, but Deft goes ahead and pulls him out, says that's my support. Faker returns to the mid lane to pick up that CS. Dragon's going to be spawning here in a second, and it's going to be a second water dragon. So you're probably going to see KT prioritize it. If I were SKT, I wouldn't want KT to have 2 water dragons because it would help them in the 1-3-1 like extremely, because it would allow them to stay in their lanes a lot longer. So Deft really trying to engage on a Bang here. Bang throws out the ultimate, and Bang actually tries to W away, but gets caught by Score a little bit late coming out from Bang. Lots of damage going on to Wolf, too. Wolf goes ahead and pops the Unbreakable Will, and he's just going to go ahead and recall, and KT is going to go ahead and get this tower. Score actually predicts that Wolf was recalling there, and Wolf has to move out of the way. Very unfortunate for him. So Score's on this dragon by himself, but he's going to be trying to... Faker's going to be trying to take him out. Not able to get enough damage before he's able to finish the dragon. So the dragon is going to go over to a KT, and KT has 2 water dragons in a 1-3-1 comp. And even though there's only about a 1,400 gold lead, I would say KT probably wins this game, just due to the situation at hand. They would have to make some pretty big mistakes, like losing Baron, in order to lose this game. Remember, I have no idea who wins which games. All I know is that it's a 5-game series, and I know, and I do know who wins the series, but I have no idea how each individual game goes. So I do know who wins Game 5, but I don't know who wins any of the other games. So Bang and Wolf rotate mid. Nara's going to go ahead and rotate bot, and Faker rotates top. So SKT setting up the 1-3-1 a little bit early. And you see KT moving on to Rift Herald, and this is going to be uncontested. I really don't think it's a good idea for that to be uncontested. I think that they should. I think SKT should put pressure on it, and threaten the steal. Because giving away free objectives, like I think SKT understands that they have the ability to win late. And they're not concerned with gold leads. So Faker moving back mid. just to show his face, show some pressure. Goes ahead and moves back top. Faker's Kassadin, so he's very safe. He's not really scared of being ganked at this point. He was only scared of being ganked before. Looks like we had a headset issue, but we're not going to worry about that. Pawn was really trying to harass Faker, and that's his job. He wants to try and get Faker low while he has the advantage, because remember, Faker is going to take a little while to scale up because he went Rod of Ages. But the Hextech Gunblade on LeBlanc gives LeBlanc a little bit more power. It looks like Score and Pawn may be looking for a dive onto Faker. And in fact, they go ahead and they pop the Rift Herald. So the Rift Herald goes ahead and jumps on the tower, but Score isn't really concerned with top lane anymore. Score is going to engage on the Peanut in the jungle, go ahead and get the ultimate out. Peanut goes ahead and flashes away, throws out the Maokai ultimate, and Pawn's going to move in. Peanut actually moves over to the Raze, smites the Raze, and is able to stay alive for a little while, but is ultimately going to be taken out by Pawn. Tristana actually flayed into Thresh, and then Mata hits a really good hook onto Bang after Bang goes ahead and uses his W. This is looking pretty grim for SKT because SKT is giving up just so much for free. Antara looks like he might be able to be caught out in the bottom lane here. Score and Smeb not interested in pursuing that. Wow, Faker jumps onto Deft, but Deft was less than 0.1 seconds from recalling. So Deft was able to finish his recall, and so Faker wasn't able to capitalize. Looks like we see a Sheen coming out from LeBlanc. This is going to be really interesting, but this is actually unique to this 1-3-1 LeBlanc style, where LeBlanc is going to be an active split pusher. Anyway, we also see the Sheen come out from Kassadin, as Kassadin is really strong when he gets Lich Bane, and that Lich Bane he's gonna get that Lich Bane close to the time when his Rod of Ages maxes out. So he's gonna be looking for picks and lots of damage then. And just a note, Bang actually went Infinity Edge with the tier 2 boots before he bought this Zeal. So it's an interesting build path that people are using on Tristana that I should really look more into because since Samsung was using it the other day and now even Bang is using it, it's really interesting to me. But due to the CS lead in the bottom lane, we see that Kalista has actually finished Blade of the Rune King and Runeans. And they're on Dragon right now. So this is just yet another free objective for KT. KT just dominating the map with the Zac. There's the Lich Bane completed by Kassadin. You also see the Frozen Mallet coming out from Gnar. You see that Randuin's Omen is going to be completed by Shen soon. He is Titanic Hydra. The Knight's Vow is coming out from both junglers. Going to be put on both ADCs, most likely. Ooh, Faker going to be engaging on a Pawn. Lots of damage coming out. The stun comes out from Pawn, but here comes the Shen ultimate. Faker goes ahead and he ults away into the Baron pit. The Faker, for the Ethereal Chain's going to miss. Peanut's going to be engaged on. And Peanut's going to be taken out pretty quickly by Score, Mata, and Deft. So things are just looking continuously worse for SKT and continuously better for KT. All right, so now that KT has a 4,000 gold lead, um, 4,000 gold lead. That's a lot. That's it's going to be a big problem for SKT because SKT is starting to get towards this tipping point that I talk about a lot. So SKT really isn't allowed to give anything else up if they want to stay in this game. And then what's also particularly interesting about the game state right now um, is that due to um, the gold lead, and the fact that KT has Callista, they have Baron pressure. And the thing is, SKT cannot win the 5v5 fight against KT. KT wins 5v5, and they have the Baron pressure. So the best possible situation for SKT to get back into this game is the 50-50 Baron smite. And this would be forced by SKT grouping up behind the Baron pit while KT are trying to do the Baron, or they're pressuring the Baron. And the Baron actually getting low enough to smite. And Peanut does have Flash available, and he's going to want to keep Flash, and that's probably why he didn't Flash last time when he died. He wants to keep Flash for this Baron that's happening. And he wants to make sure that he's able to contest that Baron if he can. That Q max on Callista gives her quite interesting wave clear. The game might be quiet for a little while, because I think a lot of people on KT are waiting on their next item. So, I'm actually really curious. That should have never happened. I'm not sure what the fuck was what happened in mid here, but let's look at this again. Okay, Tristana and Alistar are in mid. Score walks into this bush, places a pink ward, realizes that it's not warded, prepares the engage. Mata walks in. He's got Moby boots, so he gets there really, really, really fast, and he drops the lantern for Deft. And Bang, because he was too greedy for the minions and he had no wards. And I don't know what it is about this game, but like Bang has not been playing well. Bang like almost seems tilted. Deft actually lived with like no health there. Faker almost one hit him. I kind of want to see that again. Wow. That was really close. It wasn't just Faker. It was a little bit of damage from Bang's Tristana. All right. So 2 people from SKT die, and it's not just 2 people, it's 2 carries. So you're going to see KT get Baron, and if KT get this Baron, if Peanut doesn't smite away this Baron, the game's over. Because I already said that Baron in a 1-3-1 comp is absolutely broken. And Peanut's not going to be allowed anywhere near the Baron. Mata's over the wall, realizes that. Peanut's giving it up, so this game isn't going to have much more meat in it. Let's whoa, I missed something. Alright, so Faker's in the top lane pushing. Pawn engages on him and is given an ult by Smeb, and Smeb goes ahead and takes him out. Faker's got he's not very happy right now. I wouldn't be very happy either if we had no objective control due to our draft for the first 20 minutes of the game. So they go ahead and get top lane tower for free. They get mid lane tower for free. They have Baron. They're not even opting to split in 3 lanes because they already used the Shen teleport. Or not. Well, they didn't use the Shen teleport. They used the Shen ult, which is generally what you use when you're running 1-3-1 with Shen. And it looks like SKT is going to go for a Hail Mary play right now. Faker teleports in the back line, is going to be moving in, moves up through mid lane, flashes the score E, ults out of Pawn's E. Antara is going to be taken down though. He looks like he gets flashed on and then ulted by Score and taken right into his team. So that's going to lead into mid lane tower, and the game might be over right here. No, they're gonna play it safe. So they go ahead and they go top lane, hook onto Faker, ethereal chains on the Wolf. Wolf pops his ult a little late. There's the Shen taunt, there's the Maokai ult, into the Kalista ult onto Maokai. Maokai is going to be taken really low. Smeb's taunt is up, but it doesn't matter because Deft actually uses their rend and one hits Peanut when Peanut was about 33% HP. So now that KT have 2 inhibs, the game is actually over. I said the game was over when they got Baron. Now the game is actually over. There's no way SKT can come back from that. There's no way KT could make any mistake great enough to fuck this up. There's no way. All right, well, let's watch this part. Threshold comes out. E comes in from Zac. Zac goes ahead and brings the cow right into the team. The Thresh flays and the stretching strikes bounces Maokai and Antara together. And Maokai is going to be jumping onto Deft, but he's going to be taken down. The Ren knocks him out of sight. Faker coming hot off the platform now. Antara just trying to poke where he can, and Bang trying to take out the minion wave in the top. Not really much they can do here. The Shen ult comes out on the Pawn as he engages under tower. Score goes ahead and he uses the Zaki to get in. Score is going to be taken down into his passive, but that's fine. Faker actually managed to secure a kill on Deft, but he has to pop Zhonya's immediately, and he's going to be taken out immediately. The cow is back up and on the field. He's running out with home guards, and they're going to be chasing down Modescore and Smeb here. Pawn actually recalled back to lane and then teleported back into the enemy base. So Antara dives into the back line. Tara is going to be taken down, and Peanut, Wolf, and Bang, they can't do anything. And KT actually leaves the SKT base in shambles, as they have no inhibs, no Nexus towers, and KT's gonna have their eyes on this Baron probably. So this was an interesting game 1. SKT drafted a team comp where they weren't allowed to get behind early, but they let Zac in. They let KT have the Zac. And Zac is just so good. He's able to force so many fights from long range and catch people out when you're not paying attention just for a second. So SKT really not able to respond or get late enough in the game before they've already lost it. Because had everybody hit 6 items, SKT had more of a chance And even then, it was very interesting. You would have seen a very interesting game. Score looking very happy about the win there. All right, guys. That's game one. We're going to be looking at game two in your next video that's going to come out. So thanks for watching. Drop a like, comment, maybe subscribe if you care.